Woke last night doing a little bit of research, legal research on the law and shit. So what I came across was I researched when did the idea of life sentences, when was it conceived? When did life sentence become in effect in America? And I seen that it was right after slavery was abolished. So right after, like in 1870, slavery, the Civil War ended in 1865. Abraham Lincoln was killed in 1865. He couldn't fully implement his plan to free the slaves. He couldn't fully implement his plan to see equal protection of the laws and equal rights for all. So he was killed, and like right after he was killed, America had this great idea to advance civilization, and they came up with this idea of life imprisonment sentences. And I said, damn, was this a coincidence? No. They did it to keep black people down, keep them enslaved, keep them down, keep them as chattel. And I think that's the right word, keep them as fucking property. And that's what they did. That's what America's government came up with, that idea. And they figured that that was the best way to keep them down. And then since 1870, since slavery was abolished, that shit been in effect. But I was wondering, since y'all wanted to make it, why didn't y'all think of this shit before slavery got abolished? You know what I'm saying? Because before slavery was abolished, people was being sentenced to definite prison sentences. Like I said before, not exceeding 10 years. And then they came with that life sentence shit. So what you got now is you got ways to keep the people enslaved and shit and keep them down, and you stay on point. That's what's going on now. You know what I mean? Your country stay running the way that it's supposed to run and shit. The way that you want it to run. For the masses that you think are the masses. Now, I was telling people in Congress to, and I tell the federal judges too, if you got an obligation to follow the Constitution, uphold the Constitution, you know, life sentences are unconstitutional, then, you know, it was never a dual operational clause within the Constitution. So on any case that come before them, especially the U.S. Supreme Court, but all the judges, on any case that come before them, and these the ones that say, you know, they appoint people to these positions and shit. And these people getting these positions say, we represent the minority, we don't work for the government. But if you know that idea was conceived after slavery was abolished, after the Constitution was instituted, then you know that's some bullshit. And on any given case that come before them when a person on a life sentence, whether or not, especially habeas corpus cases, whether or not it's raised in a petition, they got the federal judges, all the judges, it's in the law. They got the authority to go outside what's in the petition. They got the authority to extend their jurisdiction outside what's in that petition in the interest of justice, and make that sentence void, illegal, and in violation of the Constitution. They got the federal judges, especially the United States Supreme Court, they got the authority to make all these laws unconstitutional, but yet they let it stand. Why is that? They let and they all say that they want to help the blacks. They want to help the people. You see things about education coming in front of them. Well, we want to help the people, and then they spend a ton of money implementing these rehabilitation programs in prisons, only to hold a person for life. You got motherfuckers doing 30 plus years taking rehabilitation programs, knowing damn well when that motherfucker get out, he ain't gonna be able to do shit with that goddamn program that you just gave his ass, because of the amount of time that you sentenced him to. You got motherfuckers doing life sentences taking rehabilitation programs. This motherfucker is never gonna get out because of your law. So what the fuck is you giving him these programs for? It's as if you trying to program in him that he's gonna get out one day. It's as if you selling hope to a hopeless motherfucker. It's not to better that person. It's to keep your system running a certain fucking way. You know what I'm saying? And when I say this to people, people say, Ronnie, you on some funny stuff. No, I kick it to y'all real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not advocating for criminals, and I believe that crime is illegal. But at the same time, you know, I didn't make the system. They made it, so they got to play by the rules. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can't be doing that shit, and y'all motherfuckers got to be held accountable too. Y'all got to step y'all judges. They put these people in these positions. It's in the law, man. Straight up, they can extend their jurisdiction anytime they want, and they often do it in favor of the system. They often, huh? All right, you come right back. All right, they often do it in favor of the system. They often extend their jurisdiction. They extended their jurisdiction in favor of the system, in favor of the government when they allow wiretaps to be constitutional, knowing that them motherfuckers unconstitutional. They extended it in favor of the government when they allowed just a bunch of life sentences to be constitutional. They extended that shit in favor of the government when they allowed habeas corpus successive petitions to be banned. Because they say it puts a burden on the government. It puts a burden on governmental resources. You're putting a burden on governmental resources by having all these fake ass trials, fake ass cases, by having these fucked up fake rehabilitation programs for people that's doing life sentences. You putting a burden on the government resources by doing that. But you don't say nothing about that. And somehow in they fucked up way of thinking, I don't know how else to put it, they don't feel that that's a problem. To extend your jurisdiction for that, you don't feel that that's a problem. They always extend their jurisdiction, but they always do it in favor of the government. And this comes from like a lot of, all the people on the Supreme Court are minorities in one way or another. And the only way that they may be a majority is they come from people who were oppressed. You know what I'm saying? And that's the best way to put it. They come from a group of people who were, who still are and were oppressed. See what the government do, like a lot of them, they went to nice schools, you know, and they probably come from nice working families and shit, but none of them motherfuckers, not to my knowledge, none of them are billionaires. And in one way or another, they were all once oppressed by the system. You know what I mean? It's as if the universe plays a sick joke on people. The universe tends to do this. It says to these people, and here you are complaining about women rights. Here you are complaining about black rights. You know, here you are complaining about people needing better wages and shit. And all this other shit, and we put you in this position and you don't do shit to make none of this come about. And they just sit back and look at this shit. And I sit back and look at it too. Like, shit, look at this shit. Seriously, this shit ain't no joke. Like, everything I drop is educational. And it's real shit. Everything. I might laugh and joke, but this shit real shit. And some of it may be even funny topics, but it's still real shit. This is how this is sick. It's sick. And then when you look and you watch it, you know what I'm saying, and you look at it, and you see all this shit that's going on, you say to yourself, shit, you force a conclusion with yourself that ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? So when you form that conclusion with yourself that they ain't shit, they get mad at you and try to tell you that their way of thinking is right. But see, at the end of the day, you got to keep in mind that these people are regular humans too. Although trained and educated in certain areas, they still just regular people. You know? And like everything that can affect me can affect that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I think I heard Lloyd Banks say it best. He said, nigga, you ain't invincible, even Superman in a wheelchair. So we all human. You know, it's not to say that it's like making a threat, saying, I'll fuck you up or nothing. I'm saying it to make as an example, to say we're all human. At the end of the day, we all die. You got to eat like I got to eat. You take a shit like I take a shit. You piss like I piss. You breathe like I breathe. I think you do. I don't really know. I think all y'all eat and sleep and shit. You know, you cry, you laugh, you get angry, you get happy. You get sad, just like I do. But y'all never, you know, I'm speaking directly to the Supreme Court now, U.S. Supreme Court. They never extend their jurisdiction in favor of the oppressed. And every ruling that they ever made, every big ruling that they ever made, it was like, it was a political movement. You know what I'm saying? Like women rights, integration within the schools, gay marriage. It's all big political movements. It's not doing the right thing. It's playing politics. So now you got the judicial system playing fucking politics. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this shit is. It's just playing politics. It's not even about what's right and what's wrong no more. It's about what way of thinking I want in power. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about what's right and what's wrong no more. It's not even about the fucking Constitution anymore. These motherfuckers then took the Constitution. I'm about to tell you what my case said. Honestly, let me finish telling you this though. They took the Constitution. I'm gonna tell you, man, and I'm gonna just tell y'all before I say what the fuck I say. I'm gonna tell you this. They took the fucking Constitution and twisted this shit into some. They took it, bent it, twisted it into some sick ass interpretations, and then they had a bunch of other motherfuckers agree with them. And then what they did was they had so many people agree with them that the people eventually began to accept this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the fuck they did. And I tell niggas, man, the founding fathers was here today and seeing this shit. Just seeing what they did with these people, country ideas of freedom and liberty, just seeing what the youth, they offspring, did with this shit. Just the sight of this shit, that'll kill them alone. That'll kill the founding fathers if they was just to see this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like slavery was immoral. It was. But me being me, you know, I ain't no house nigga. I ain't no sellout house nigga. I'm just a realistic nigga. Me being me, even Africans enslaved people. All civilizations did it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to justify, but I'm saying to single America out for slavery is wrong. That's why I never really single them out for slavery. It's what you're doing. It's like this. You know what I'm saying? It's what y'all doing after this shit. All civilizations enslaved the race. Okay. But now these people got to be freed. Because what this country was founded on, like they say, you know, most of the founding fathers was Freemasons. Most people signed Declaration of Independence and shit. And that's to see people as equal. So they was free, they were slaves, but now they free. So you gotta treat these people equal. You can't just make up a new rule to further keep them enslaved, and you know what I'm saying, to further keep them enslaved and shit. So the U.S. Supreme Court, they could do whatever the fuck they want. And that's what the fuck they was doing. All them rulings, they was just political movements, man. And all them niggas playing. It's like, seriously, Donald Trump right now, and he could get a bunch of his Republican friends together, gather them up, and say, look, we bored as fuck, we about to play. And he could just tell the Supreme Court what fucking case they got, whether state tax is state internet sales tax, states could tax internet sales and shit. That's one of the things that they said was coming up. Now, Donald Trump and his friends and a bunch of they could get these motherfuckers together right now. They could tell, like the senators from Carolina and all over the country could tell constituents, converge on Washington, get microphones and shit, and shout, you know, some shit. Or they could orchestrate gatherings. They could orchestrate gatherings, and then he could go tell the Supreme Court, rule like this, nigga. Him and all this niggas, they just eat lunch, huddle up with him, call him to the White House, some shit, and say, nigga, rule like this. And they'll tell them the same way that they justified wiretaps and they justified a lot of other shit. They'll say it's in the interest of national security that you rule like this. This Supreme Court justice is such a fuckboy. You know, he'll say, okay, you know, go along with this shit. Seriously. That's like they don't even think for their fucking selves no more. I think they don't. So you got these motherfuckers making these bogus ass rulings. Now in my case, my shit says, notwithstanding anything to the contrary, in Criminal Rule 5B, I could quote it because I read it so many times. I can't quote it verbatim, but I could quote, you know, so you get a general understanding of what I'm about to say. It says, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in Criminal Rule 5B, a person charged with a felony must be accorded a preliminary hearing within 15 days if held in jail in lieu of bail, or within 15 days if not held in jail within lieu of bail, or within 10 days if held in jail in lieu of bail. And then it goes on to further say, anything in Criminal Rule 5B to the contrary, right? I think that's what it say. No, I think I just quoted it all. So that's I'm about to see what the fuck this shit say. That's what Ohio Speedy Trial statute say. Now, my interpretation of that, I was unfamiliar with the word notwithstanding for a little bit. So I looked up in dictionaries and shit. And I looked up. Hold on. What the fuck is this? And who the fuck is calling me? Huh? I don't know how to work this bitch. I couldn't get this phone call.
You want this tobacco?
Yeah. Yeah, so it say, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in Criminal Rule 5B, a person charged with a felony. But I looked at the word notwithstanding, so that means like, fuck what Criminal Rule 5B say, you gotta charge this person, you gotta accord this person preliminary hearing within that amount of time. And if that person, and then the 2945.73 of the Ohio Revised Code, I believe that's what it is, it says, it goes on to further say, if a person ain't accorded a preliminary hearing within the time mandated by 2945.71, that person, the charge of felony is to be dismissed. That's what the fuck it say. Now, my interpretation say of that entire shit that I just said was, if a person is not accorded a preliminary hearing within that time, you gotta discharge that motherfucker. You gotta discharge that motherfucker. It's mandated that this motherfucker get discharged. Discharge me, you gotta release that motherfucker, right? That's what my interpretation. That's what Webster's definition of the goddamn word. Word is motherfucker. Yeah, look what it say right here. I ain't making this shit. I'm gonna show y'all. Ohio Revised Code. This is the Ohio law that when you go to trial, criminal court shit. 2945.71 say time for trial. 2945.71 section C1 reads, and I quote, a person against whom a charge of felony is pending. That's what C say. Number 1 says, notwithstanding any provisions to the contrary in Criminal Rule 5B, shall be accorded a preliminary hearing within 15 consecutive days after the person's arrest if the person is not held in jail in lieu of bail on the pending charge, or within 10 days after the person's arrest if the accused is held in jail in lieu of bail on a pending charge. Then it goes on to say, let me go see the other part. Then it goes on to say, that's what 2945.71 say. And y'all can look it up yourself and see it. Now, Ohio Revised Code 2945.73 says this, discharge for delay in trial. 2945.73 says a charge of felony shall be dismissed if the accused is not accorded a preliminary hearing within the time required by sections 2945.71 and 2945.72 of the Revised Code. That's what A says, section A. Section B says, upon motion made at or prior to the commencement of trial, a person charged with an offense shall be discharged if he is not brought to trial within the time required by those sections. Now, that tells me that if I ain't have my preliminary hearing in that fucking time limit, then that charge was supposed to be fucking dismissed. And that was the judge's duty to oversee the trial, like the fucking judge duty, and dismiss that fucking charge. Now, as I told the court, they could have dismissed it and they could have refiled it. But they didn't. They just kept that shit going and kept me in that motherfucker. Now it says this, Section D says, when a charge, this 2945.73 Section D, it says this. And they just fucked me over. The Supreme Court ain't do shit to help me in that. It says that the Supreme, they are bitches. Let me tell you something. When the charge of felony is dismissed pursuant to Division A of this section, such dismissal has the same effect as a no prosequi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the word right, but when you no prosequi, it's like a no prosecution and you dismiss it, but it can be refiled by the state. Then it goes on to say, Section D goes on to say, when an accused is discharged pursuant to Division B or C of the section, such discharge is a bar to any further criminal proceedings against him based on the same conduct. So that goes on to say, if they was to dismiss it because I wasn't brought to trial within 90 days or didn't have my preliminary hearing shit on time, it was supposed to be banned from further prosecuting me, so you couldn't refile it. They let all this shit stand. Real talk, man. They sick and they tortured me. But it's not only me who they do this to a lot of other people. They let all this shit, and they take these rulings, and these rulings like political things. I'm not trying to upheave the system or nothing, man. Just trying to say equal protection for all. Right? Right? That makes sense to me. Equal protection of the laws for all. So I raised all this shit to the Supreme Court. I raised that, and then so I didn't have no arraignment. The motherfuckers didn't arraign me on my charges. They didn't give me a fucking preliminary on my charges. They just gave me a fucking attorney that took control of my case and did what the fuck he wanted to do. As I told him. You know? And this is what the fuck the motherfuckers is doing. They could do it. The United States Supreme Court could overturn any conviction. They got the right to extend their... And then they got this one shit called... unless a manifest miscarriage of justice occurs. The fuck is a man? So okay, they got some fucked up definitions. I know what a manifest miscarriage of justice is because I can read. And I see George Bush in the school with the kids when the 9/11 attacks happened. He had a sign behind him said, "Reading makes a country great." Reading, motherfucker, makes a country great. Like the way he taught. It does. It does. It makes a country great when you can read and you read the law and you know the law and you say, man, y'all on some bullshit. And then they get mad at you for telling them that they on some bullshit when they really on some bullshit. But this 22 minutes, I keep my video short, so I'm about to make another video and continue this shit.